Hey, what's up everyone? It's Crash here, and today I'll bring you the Druid build guide. I just straight up need to get something out of the way. Druid is by far the worst class in the game. Uh, Both from my own testing and what I've heard from other people as well. So if you are someone who did not play last week's beta and do not have time to struggle a little bit, and just want to get to 20 plus fairly easy so you can get your wolf cup attachment, whatever it's called, then I would highly suggest playing another class. I have a guide for both the sorcerer, rogue, and the barbarian. There will also be a necromancer guide out, but that'll probably be later today, so I would probably suggest that you go look at one of those since they're already up and available. My primary suggestion would be the sorcerer guide if you are in that category, because it's super easy, it's super smooth, and you are straight up immortal. While having probably a little more than 3 times the druid's single target damage, so yeah. But I mean, the rogue and barbarian guard is gonna do you just fine as well. More than just fine. They are, yeah, they have served me extremely well. Oh, by the way, all the testing that I've done and all the showcases of everything is done on veteran, so your experience might be a little different if you're playing on normal. I have no idea, haven't tried it. So I just want to point that out real quick. Anyways, let's get into this build guide. So I usually don't do this or go too much into detail because you're fairly quickly gonna reach the around level 16 point. But seeing as the druid is struggling quite a bit more than the other classes, I thought I would give you a suggested build while leveling to that point, at least until you are able to pick up the hurricane. What's it called? Maelstrom? The hurricane. So when you're able to reach this, you can respec. But if you feel like this build that I'm gonna show you now still feels good, you can continue playing it for a bit, but it will fall off. AoE is gonna feel fine, but the single target is gonna feel miserable, and you're not that tanky, so yeah. Anyways, let's get into this quick little low leveling guide. So we're gonna play Poison Werewolf. So we pick Claw, Enhanced Claw with the Fierce Claw, so we get a little bit of poison there. We pick Shred, Enhanced Shred, and the Raging Shred for some more poison and some other goody. Then we pick the Deliberating Roar for some nice reduced damage of the enemy, and we get the Enhanced Roar, which gives us some Fortify. That helps us quite a lot, at least once we get it rolling. It does take a little bit for the Fortify to start ramping up, but once it's going, it does help out quite a bit. Then we have the Preserving Roar, which heals us a little bit over time. It's not extremely massive, but it definitely makes a difference. Then we have Bloodhowl, which is a pretty decent chunk of healing we get in one go. And then we have the Enhanced Bloodhowl, which reduces the cooldown by 1 second when we kill an enemy, which means we can probably use this about 2 times per fight, more or less, depending on what we're fighting. And then we take the Preserving Howl for increased attack speed. So you are mostly using this offensive, but you can also use it defensive. I just want to point that out there. Then next up we are picking the Vine Creeper with the Enhanced Vine Creeper and the Furious Vine Creeper. Now, once you get this node, the Furious Vine Creeper, the Vine Creep is gonna feel really amazing for area clear. it's more or less gonna kill packs on its own, but there might be a couple of bigger dudes that you need to go hit yourself, but it should take care of most of it when you're at this point. And then in order to reach down here, we just go up and pick 1 point in predatory instincts. Then we pick rabies and enhanced rabies, and it doesn't make much of a difference between the savage rabies and the natural rabies, so just pick whichever one you like. But as I said, when you get around this point, it's usually where it's gonna start falling off a bit, and where I would recommend you swap into the build that I'm gonna show you in just a second. The clear of this build of the werewolf build is a bit better than the next build I'm gonna show you, but this build just doesn't have this single target. Not that the other build has a lot more, it just is a lot more tanky, so and way more forgiving. So yeah, I would highly suggest you swapping over to that. But again, you do what you want, right? Anyways, so for that build, we are gonna pick Storm Strike with Enhanced Storm Strike and the Fierce Storm Strike. We want the enemies to be vulnerable. That is a big portion of our damage. We'll get into that in just a bit, but that is a big portion of our damage is the vulnerable part. Then we get Tornado with Enhanced Tornado and the Raging Tornado. Again, more chance of making them vulnerable. We like that. Then we take Raw, again with the Fortify and Preserving Raw. However, this time around we are picking Earthen Bulwark for a nice shield. And then we get the Enhanced Bulwark and the Preserving Bulwark, which also helps out a lot building up our Fortify and keeping it sustained once we have it rolling. And then we just pick 1 point in the Cyclone Armor for the passive non-physical damage reduction. It also does a little bit of damage, but it can be a little tedious because it knocks enemies back, so it can be a little annoying. But we don't really press it. We just have it for the passive. Then we pick the Ancestral Fortitude and 2 point into Vigilance. Now that we're able to get down here, we're gonna pick 1 point in Hurricane. Then we take Elemental Exposure, Endless Tempest, and then we max out Bad Omen. And then afterwards we're gonna go down and then we're gonna max out Hurricane. Because Hurricane is gonna be our main damage, but it does have a bit of a cooldown. So yeah, I will link both trees down in the description below, so if you wanna put it up on another monitor and follow along there, you can do that. I just thought I would go over it here so you have an idea of which order to pick things in. Alrighty, let's get into some gameplay. Oh, one thing I quickly want to mention before we get into gameplay is the build defensive wise is gonna feel a million times better if you have this legendary, which doubles the duration of Earthen Bulwark's barrier, which is quite massive. I am gonna play without this in this gameplay. I just bought the blue pair of pants from a vendor because that was the only thing I had easy access to before recording this video. Just so that we get like the baseline of, okay, this is as bad as the build can look. It can only, go up from here with you getting legendary that actually fix it. The only other legendaries that I have on right now, this one doesn't do anything because I have 2 of it, and crowd controlled enemy. We don't really do too much of that, so yeah, it's kind of worthless, right? So I just wanted to point that out, that we are not using any legendaries. You can also get a legendary that increases the barrier absorption of Earthen Bulwark based on your damage. That would be kind of nice to pair with this. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out real quick. Let's get into some gameplay. I've chosen to do Light Switch again for 2 reasons. One, I like the dungeon a lot. Secondly, it has a decent amount of area, like AoE, so you get an idea of how it clears, and then it also has a fairly high damage dealing boss at the end, so it's a good place to test your defenses. But yeah, as you see, the clear is not the best in the world. It is better in the werewolf, but the single target is, yeah. And this one is also way tankier, which is really nice. Not that it is a super tank, unfortunately. The druid is not having that good of a time. One thing I want to point out, in terms of skill usage, is that try to save your hurricane till you hold a couple of mobs around you, and then in terms of try to use Earthen Bulwark when you think you're about to take damage, and then the raw once you have taken a little bit of damage, so you get the most out of it. If it actually wants to use it here, nice. Can he get out of that corner? I would appreciate that. Yeah, single target. Again, not the best either, but it's a little better than the werewolf. And it is quite a bit tankier than the werewolf. The issue with the werewolf is you just have to give up too much damage in order to get tankiness that you... Yeah, it just ends up being not worth playing it. Because you're literally gonna struggle too much on the bosses. Or most people will, so that's why I suggest playing this instead. Oh, I didn't notice the trap. Oopsie. Try to get out of that poison. It'd be really nice if they would move out of it as well. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll just push him back into it because I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm sorry. My brain is kind of fried. I have spent the past, basically since beta, trying to figure out how I'm gonna solve this druid parcel so I could get a decent build out there for you guys. I have deliberately died to the final boss of this dungeon, where I could have finished it off 7 times, to change a couple of passives and see if that felt a little better for the boss, to then redo the dungeon and see if it hurt the clear too much, to then re-die to the boss and rinse and repeat until I found something that is okay to play, defensive and offensively. It's still not anything like compared to the other classes. There is just no way it can reach that level, but it's at least playable like this. You're able to clear stuff. You might struggle a bit. I don't remember what the dungeon is called, but the end boss is a spider that keeps rooting you and spit poisons and runs away. If you know what boss I'm talking about, you might struggle on that one with this build. The same thing with the werewolf, because it literally just straight up counters you. So I will point that out. But yeah, as you can see, not incredible clear whatsoever. It's okay. We should actually just skip this. Oh wait, we can't. Oh, that's annoying. Would have liked to skip this guy. Especially because he's healing. That's actually really annoying. This guy is not friendly for our build whatsoever. If I'm smart here, the smart play would be to not risk taking damage from me so he can heal. So the smart play would be to walk away, and then just wait for my hurricane, right? So I didn't risk him getting free healing off me, but whatever, right? Can't really be asked. Oh yeah, and by the way, not to make matters even worse, I was in the middle of recording this video. Like just before I started this recording, I after 20 minutes, And getting about to this point because I was taking it a bit more slow with the explanation and going a little bit more into detail with some stuff. The game DC'd. So I had to record everything over again, which is what you're seeing right now. And hearing, for that matter. So yeah. I am trying to rush it a little bit more. And not... So, I just want to give you a general idea, right? You can definitely play this to way more perfection than what I am at the moment, but I am tired and I'm really, really over the druid at this point. Yeah. But I just wanted to make sure that I had something out there, so people at least had a build for the druid that they could play and actually do content with. So, yeah. I'm a little sad that there isn't anything super insane that you can do on the druid. Because a lot of the other builds that I did has a lot more fun and interesting mechanics going on, where this one is not that interesting, but yeah, what can you do? You know, beggars can't be choosers, or whatever they say. We just have to do the best with what we're given. It's okay. It kills and clears stuffs. Yeah, the boss will still be not super easy, not super hard, but you have to play the game. You can't just go AFK like with the wizard. You can't just look at the other monitor and spam your buttons. You have to actually pay a little bit of attention. And it is a fairly long fight. Yeah, I'm not doing a good job of trying to make my build sound good, but honestly, there is no good option for the druid that I could find. This is the best option in my opinion. Unless you want to be a complete glass cannon, and I wouldn't even call it a glass cannon. What about maybe a glass rubber duck? Because it's not... Yeah. You're just gonna be glass without the giga damage, but you are gonna do it more than this. It's just not to the point where I would consider calling it a cannon. And you're gonna be way too squishy for... You're gonna be so squishy that you're not allowed to do basically any misplays on the bosses, so... Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, and I'm sorry for repeating myself a lot. Anyways, so here's the boss. Just gonna press my raw. Letting that take me up a little bit. Here's the earthen bulwark here. Also get a little bit of push with the armor. To pop a pot, but as you can see, it kills it. Right, it's doable. Not insane damage. We're at least not dying or struggling too hard defensive-wise. It's gonna be much easier defensive-wise if you have the legendary that that doubles the duration of your earthen bulwark. Alright, we almost have hurricanes. Now we have a little bit of damage actually. Gonna spam some nados. Oh, of course he disappears. That is really sad. Oh, I shouldn't have rolled there. I'm bad at the game. I'm gonna wait with using my hurricane because I think he's... Yeah, I was about to say, I think he's gonna go stealth. This has fit with the cooldown all the other times. There we go. Actually got Ultra Evasion Hurricane, I think. Yep. Awesome. And there you go. So, yeah. Wasn't super fast, but we wasn't really struggling defensively, and yeah, I was able to do it, right? So, that is my premier suggestion for Druid builds with the current state that they're in. I do apologize that it's not something fancy, and I double apologize for me not being very energetic, but I really just wanted to get something out there, and I've spent so many hours struggling trying to figure out some sort of combination that could work for majority of players. And yeah, with my previous recording getting ruined by a disconnect, I am really just I'm really just over the Druid. So I just hope and pray that this video ends up helping someone out there. Then at least it would have been worth the effort that I put in. And yeah, I'm sorry that the video doesn't end up being super high quality, but yeah, it's a build, and yeah, so I hope it does well for you, and I hope you enjoy the beta, and I will have a lot more guides and D4 content coming out. So yeah, take care and enjoy yourself.